So I'm currently working my way through Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And last week I injured my hand, so I couldn't write, I couldn't draw, I couldn't complete my tasks because it was painful. And so I decided to extend week 2 to include this week as well. And I'm currently on vacation with my family. I'm Pernille, a Danish artist, and right now we are at a campground very close to the German border. And actually, as it turns out, it's the perfect combination of some of the tasks that she wants me to do this week and being on holiday. Julia Cameron in chapter 2 asks you to write a list of 20 things that you love doing and then doing some of the stuff you haven't done in a long time. And I'm actually finding myself doing those things with my family this week. And I'm here to show you what I've been up to so far. So yesterday, Tuesday, we drove to the city of Kiel, which is about an hour's drive south of the Danish border. And we went to the National History Museum. And that is one of the things that I love doing and haven't done in a while. That is going to the museums. I find it very interesting, even though it's not like art museums. I still find, especially animals and nature, very inspiring. And walking around in that Natural History Museum was so lovely, and I was so inspired by the colors of the birds and discovering animals I didn't know exist, even though I think I know a lot about nature. I had never heard about some of them. And so I was inspired by what I saw. And even though when you come to the German, my experiences when you come to the German museums, the written text at the museums are only in German. And my German is rusty, to say the least. I haven't really spoken German in 30 years, so I could understand some of the things that were written, but not all. But despite that, we had a really lovely day. And afterwards, we went for a stroll around the city. We went to the waterfront to have a cold drink in the shadow and watch the water and the boats, and it was such a lovely day. Today, Wednesday, has been more quiet. We didn't drive as far. My youngest, my son, and I went to a Danish village called Augustenborg, because there is a castle there, and my son is a history geek like the rest of us, so he really wanted to see that castle. He had heard about the princess that used to own that castle, and he wanted to see it. So we drove there because it's also an art center, and we walked around the gardens of the palace gardens and watched the sculptures and explored. And even though it was raining, it was still quite nice. I'm rediscovering this week how much inspiration I find in nature, and so that's some of the things I'm taking with me so far, going forward. Is that I need to explore nature more. I need to play around with the things I see and try to render nature and maybe do some more plein air painting. And I've been working in my travel sketchbook, and so far it's been lovely. The only problem is it's very humid, and so it takes forever for the paint to actually dry. And that has turned out to be a problem, because I can't paint as much as I'd like to, because it just the paint the colors bleed into each other, and it's a bit messy. But I'm making it work, and so far my biggest lesson this week has been I need to go out. And also, when I check that list of 20 things that I like to do, I'm actually doing a lot of them already. Not as often as I probably should, but I am doing them on a regular basis. So I need to focus on the few a few things on my list that I haven't done, and I'm checking a lot of them off this week. So that's a win-win. So I think tonight we are going on a walk with the nightmen, the watchmen, I think it's called in English. Uh, that they have this guided tour in a town nearby, and I might show you a couple of clips of what we're up to. Love storytelling, and I love being in the company of people that are great storytellers. So yesterday was a really amazing evening. Um, the guy, the guide at the guided tour, um, was dressed up like a watchman, and he told the stories about the town of Åbenrå in such a great way. And the evening was perfect. The weather was warm, even though it was really late at night. It started at 9 p.m. and ended at 11 p.m. Um, but the air was warm, and as the sun set, it colored the sky in oranges and pinks, and the air was just heavy with the scent of honeysuckle and roses, and it was just amazing. And I can really feel how much these adventures with my family brings, how much joy they bring me, and how much energy I get from doing those things. Um, and so that's what I've been thinking about here this morning. We've been taking it easy because we arrived at the campsite quite late after the guided tour. So we had a late morning sleeping in. Um, and I've been just pondering all of this that I've been working through this week. Julia Cameron mentions self-sabotage, and it's been brought to my attention this week that I didn't think I was like doing a lot of self-sabotage, but I guess I am. And I yesterday, as you saw in the clip, I said, "Oh, I'm doing all of the stuff that brings me joy, and I'm already really great at that." But I've been doing some thinking, and yeah, I am doing some of the stuff, but not enough. There's another task where she wants you to draw a circle and divide it into six, and then each part of the circle is like it is represents a part of your life, like your work, your creativity, your spirituality, friends, um, stuff like that, and then you mark how much time you use in each sector of your life. And that was I was like doing that task this morning, and it was an eye opener. I am in a way using my chores and the housework. I'm do the stuff that I'm doing at home and with the family as some sort of self-sabotage. I'm not prioritizing my art. Um, so I want to do that going forward. Because I can really feel how much joy it brings me. And so today's adventure, we are driving back into Germany and visiting the city or the town of Friedrichstadt. And I'll show you some clips of what we've been up to, because this week is just all about filling up those creative batteries. Because I've been struggling, as I've mentioned in finding time and actually making art, and I can feel how much joy this brings me. So today we're going on an adventure in a town we haven't visited before, and that's Friedrichstadt. So I'm gonna end the vlog by showing you my travel journal. It's complete. And I drew a map of the area. This is where the campground is. This is the Danish-German border, and this is the city of Flensburg. And I drew a clock because all sort of stuff happened that day. That our car broke down, and we had to borrow my in-laws, and then we had trouble getting the caravan on the car, and it was a whole thing. So we ended up leaving quite late. Sorry about my bird. So we ended up leaving quite late. So the whole day was just like feeling like we were waiting for stuff to kind of be resolved. And when we finally arrived at night, the lady in the caravan was yelling at her family for about an hour. So I symbolized her by drawing an angry chicken, because she was losing her mind, and she ended up being quite annoying to live next to for the time that we were there, because she was constantly yelling at her family, and for minor things like that her 5-year-old twins had put their clothes on the wrong shelf in the caravan, and she yelled at them for an hour for something, at least for something like that. She was just constantly shouting and yelling. So I drew an angry chicken. That was Tuesday. We went to the National History Museum in Flensburg, and I drew the largest beetle in the world. I am fascinated by weird and wonderful animals. And of course I drew a puffin, because puffins are cool. And I discovered a new favorite animal, the pink fairy armadillo, I think it's called in English. A tiny little armadillo. It was just so cute. I like weird animals like puffins and armadillos and axolotls and the platypus and stuff like that. I love them. I think they're amazing. So I drew him. And this was a lake in Kiel called Kleine Kiel. And I drew that when we came home. And I'll show you. This is the National History Museum, and cutouts from the pamphlet I found there, and this is an old German stamp. And this is, we went and bought, one of the funny things or lovely things about visiting another country is like trying out new foods and trying out new sweets. And so we went to the supermarket before driving back into Denmark, so my son could pick up some treats that he can't have at home. So we did that in Edeka. And if we flip it around, Wednesday in the morning it rained, and my son and I decided to go out on an adventure even though the weather was pretty nasty. So we went to the palace of Augustenborg Palace, and this is one of the smaller buildings at the palace grounds, right next to the park. And this is just a cutout from, I think, one of the towers of the palace. And after we explored the palace grounds and found all the sculptures, we went into Sønderborg, a Danish town called Sønderborg, and had lunch at the Emilia and Maltes food court. And in that night we went to go on a guided tour, as you saw, with the watchman, and that is the guy, our guide, and he was quite amazing at storytelling. And that is these houses were where the watchmen used to live back in the old days. So that was where they lived with their families, and then at night they would walk around and guard the city and keep a watch out for fires and make sure everything was peace and quiet. And so that is the guy. And then at Thursday we went to the German town of Friedrichstadt. And Friedrichstadt used to be Dutch. So the houses there remind me more of the architecture in the Netherlands than what I think of when I think of typical German architecture. So the houses were really lovely, and it was a very cozy and quaint little town. It's a very historical little village with canals, and it's really nice. And so I drew one of the houses. There was this row of yellow and purple houses, and this is one of the other houses there. And then the last day where we went home, I just drew some of the chocolate that we bought in Germany. So that is my travel journal. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Bye.